We got oyoters. Okay, we're gonna go out. I am going to, the campsite photos, when you look at them, are old, like 10 years old. I am in the E-loop. So I am going to walk around the campground and show you, even in the rain it's better because then you can see. We are in, let me see this. I'm in E165 and this is the beginning of the E-loop. I believe this is overflow parking right here. If you want overflow, right there. But I'm going to start here. This is 165. Actually, it's pretty roomy. You can put a fairly large tent there. You are kind of undercover here. This is 164. That is the bathroom. Now we come down here. You're going to see 163. Yeah, you could fit a decent sized little tent in that one. This is a pull through right here. And I'll get to that one in a minute. 162. This one is nice. You have a nice big area here. This is very private actually. You have that. And then the campsite there. We are at 161. That one goes back up in there. And you have a campsite here. This right here is 160. It is a pull through. But you could easily put some tents in there. That's actually some pretty roomy sites. Back to this one. This one is 159. Not so big. Still room for a tent, a small tent. Here we have, what is this one? There's no post marker. Somebody must have knocked it out. I'm assuming if that's 159, this is probably 158. Yeah, because somebody probably knocked the thing out. There's a bathroom thing. This one. Oh, what is back here? Is this like a little creek or just a drain? I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to probably have slugs back here. I doubt there's any fish in there. All right. This is 158. In the trees, you might get some daylight in here. I'm going to show you the site my sister and I were at in November, which flooded when my tent was flooded. 157, definitely room for a tent there. Not a very long. What is this? Is that like somebody locked a brick or something? Right. Now you come over here. We have a 155 right here. 156. I like 156 and I'll show you why. There's a little bit of mud, but look at this privacy. Come up here to 156. Look at this. There is some water there in the rain, but check this out. That is 156. Look at that site. It's a good site. Again, there's the bathrooms right there. I would say 156 is a pretty good site. Then we have a 154 right there. Lots of slugs are going to get there. 153 and 152 are pretty close. You want to put a tent up, you're going to get pretty close. 151 is a drive-through. They have cut a lot of trees down. Look at all of this. Look at this mud puddle right here. Don't put anything in you don't want dipped in water here. Look at that mud pile. So I think, why is that empty? That's the site that Marnie and I stayed in back there. I'm pretty sure that is. I'm gonna go look. $148 is really good. There's a lot of room here. $149 is okay. I mean, there's a lot of room back in there. These are the outside ones. I didn't show you this little pod one over here. 147 is right here. This is, I believe, an ADA site. I like the 148. I mean, you could put tents right here. It's a pretty decent pad. Another tent can go over here, because on this one, it seems like you have both sides. I think you do. And then you have this over here. So this is the E-loop. This is where we're staying this time. I'm not going to do the whole park, but I come here enough that I'm going to put up videos for each of the loops. And this is 144, but I'm pretty sure that's the ADA site handicap. Yep, it is 145. And then we have these sites. And another ADA site here. Hi. And then 141.
Let's go over here.
Over here.
Let's go this way. Let's go over here where there's no tunnel.
On the outside, that is the J loop over there. And 140 is the host site. Over here is the C loop is behind us. See, when we were here in November, which I probably could go do the C loop. If I wanted to, but there's little horseshoes I think in here. All right, we're gonna go over here into the C loop and show you the C loop, but I'm gonna start kind of awkward because I'm sneaking through. Almost all of these sites here have electricity, and that one's a decent site, but you can't, you're going to be right next to that public site. So this is 112. Oh, it's the D loop, sorry, not C, D. Here you have 113. Again, you got a little marsh back there. Little 113. 114, the only downfall to this one is one of these backs right up to our site. I think it's this guy. So when we have our Lance camper on, they get the light in the back of their RV. Here's look at this nice pull through. Wow, 115. That is a nice pull through. That's long. You guys like a pull through? If I was going to come here in a long RV and I wasn't comfortable backing it up yet, this is the site. Look at this. However, if you're going to tent it out, you're not going to want to put a tent over here. Look at the rain around the fire pit. If you're going to tent it as well, you're going to need a tent here. And this kind of looks like a site we stayed in before, but this is a nice site. If you want to pull through, 115. Super long pull through. You could put a toy hauler in that one. All right. 116. That's no tent sites in that one. It's just not very big. Some of these are super small. Here we have 117. And then 118. Wow, his motorcycle's like on the ground. That's not good. They're gone somewhere. I mean, that would be good. Well, no, I was going to say for the boat, but when we bring our boat. I don't know if I'm going to bring the boat here, though. 119. Wow, you guys, look at this. Lots and lots of water here. Look at that. If you're in 119, be prepared if it rains. Yep, that's what I don't like. This site, though, 120, look at this. It's up on the hill and it drains. Not much privacy here though. Your little bathroom here, this one does not have a shower. You got a 120 here. That's a nice little site. You can put a tent right here at the road, but you are right here. There's no privacy between you and these guys unless you have a camper. 122, again, nice dry sites up here. You're gonna come down here, you're gonna get some water. You're gonna have water. Here's 121 by the bathroom. We have a 124 over here on the outside. There you go. 123, not any room. I don't think their sea loop is open. It could be, but I don't think it is. 125, no privacy, guys. No privacy. 125, bad. 126, no room for a tent, but it's dry. Another pull through, 127. Nice open site. I bet you could put a tent here, but you'd be kind of like encroaching on these guys. 128. Hi. 129. Again, when you look at these sites like 130, you are back to back. So when you back up in the site, you're going to be back to back with the sea loop, like literally right there. I mean, there's plenty of room for a tent here though. And here you have 130. Actually, it'd be nice to go through these right now because the sea loop has not opened yet. These are all one way, so you have to loop around. I am going to swing through here. I'm on D132, and I'm going to run over here to the sea loop. So we can do E, D, and C. So you guys can just see these loops for now. And then I'll come back through on the sea loop to show you those over there. I'm coming in at C49 and C47. And I'll show you the view. This is the downfall between 49. Look at that. You are literally back to back. So hopefully you have somebody nice behind you and not some partiers. This loop is still closed for the season. They're going to probably open it next month. We have a 48. That one, that's either a trail to the bathroom or another campsite. I'll know when I get over there, but this isn't bad. And it's raining, so now you can see where all the mud puddles are. 47. Again, here is 49, so you're looking at that one. I'm gonna walk this way. 48, here we go. Let's go up. Uh-oh, I'm at 31% battery. I hope I have enough. C50, that's a big site. C51. Here we have, oh, C52 is a pull through right here, guys. Not a very long, I mean, it's long enough. But again, you don't know whose site is who. You may have some issues there. This is a nice big semi-private site right here. Not too wet. Does need to be cleaned up. It is C53. Here is C55, another pull through. C54, no room for a tent there. Well, there may be over here on this side, there might be room for a tent. I always think about that because we always, if you have kids or something and you want a tent, you got to add that. Sorry if I'm a little winded, guys. I haven't had a back injury about 1.5 years ago and I haven't done a whole lot. I'm trying to build my muscle back up. I want to get out of the house and get back to work. That is some shade. In the summer and the hot days, this would be great. And the cold, rainy days like today, not so much. But you know, here, this is typical weather. Ooh, don't put a tent there. We had an SUV tent. I'll show if I get to that loop back there. There you go. That's a good one. Here's 57 right here. Again, you have your bathroom right there. There is enough room for a tent over there. C57. Now we're coming down the street here. You have a hill down here. Bet you there's some nice mushies up there. You know, if you like mushrooms, come here in the fall. You might find some centralia, some what I call the chanterelles up there. Bet you would. C60. C59. That one's pretty muddy. You don't want to get this one in the rain unless you have a camper for sure. This is not a tent friendly site. C61. Again, nice little. Of course, raccoons are up there too, guys. Don't leave food out. There's some big raccoons in here. 62. Another mud puddle at the end of 62. Look at that. Another pull through out in the open here. 65. Here we go. 63. It is kind of swampy up there. Kind of small. You're getting back here. You're getting some small ones up against the hill here. 64. C64. I mean, you could put a tent back in there, but it's not really that far. Like I said, this site is closed for now. They haven't cleaned it yet. C66. Here over here is the other part of the end of the pull through. So you have this, which you could use all of this area too, which generally, but my guess is going to belong to 67 because they don't have any room. So if you have a tent for 67, you're going to have to put it up here. Hopefully people don't get mad. That's what I'm always afraid of, is they're going to be like, this is my site. Here is 67. Again, a nice deep driveway, not so much tent. We got here 68. You have C69. You know, I remember staying in this I thought it was like, maybe it was, you know what, maybe it was Lincoln City. 69, C69. Area is closed right now. There's the garbage area right there. We'll come back through here. This will probably be open next month. There's that loops across the street. I should go in there. There's cabins back in there they added too. Here's C40. And there is another one over there. That's 42. We have C40 right here. You guys, these are not level driveways. Bring leveling blocks because there are lumps and bumps and grooves all in these things. Here is C42. That's going to be the park host when the street opens. C41. Oh, now this one's not bad. Oh, this is probably another host, so let's look. Because you got your wood's going to be there. This is, oh, it's empty. Okay, you have some overflow parking right here. Again, no shower. This is the old school bathroom only in the C loop. You're coming over here. These are blackberry bushes. So if you're allergic to bees, don't get these sites. In the summertime, sure, you're going to have blackberries, but you're also going to have bumblebees. C43. There might be some room for a tent back in there. Let me look. C43. You are right against the woodshed though. Where's the fire pit? Oh, there it is. Yeah. You got room for a tent back in there. Definitely. It's a little bit private. Here you are. C44 is over here. Beep. Yep, you are right next to the bathroom, but it's not the shower, so it shouldn't be too bad. Plus, if there's a lot of RVs, and like this time of year, you won't have to worry about it. C45. Yeah, you got some room for a tent there. You're backed up against the main street. Here we go, C46. So that is the one I said at the very beginning. That is another parking spot. So you are backed right up against. And if you are in 46 and you back up here, you're going to be right next to 44. So your fire pit's here, but that's going to be them there. And if you're backed up right here, this is the fire pit for the other side. And you're by the bathroom. So just be known that. However, it's fairly dry. This park has P through P. A through P. They also have some tent only sites, I believe. It's been such a long time since I've been through this whole park. Okay. Now I'm going to pass back through the D loop over here to show you the outside D loop sites so you can get an idea. So I'm giving you C, D, and E today. This video is going to be C, D, and E. Going for my walk. This is, yeah, C47. Not bad. Those people did pull out of that one site. That's a huge site. The one I was talking to them, that's a big site. I don't know if I'm going to edit talking to them out. They were excited they just bought a camper. I just bought a camper too. Nobody thinks I'm weird looking at myself yet. I think I just got spotted by my stepson. They just drove by. They went down to Seaside to go get some candy. The park host is here. That's a nice RV. D101, right across from the park host. That's how my husband, we're right there at 165, so he just backs right in. So we don't have to go around the loop. It's just a shortcut. I don't know if we'd do it if it was real busy here. They might tell us not to. Here's 103. 102. D102. There we go. Now 105. Again, not much room for a tent, just a trailer. 104, you're by the bathroom again. Another old school bathroom. So the closest shower here is going to be in the E loop, it looks like. Another 107, occupied. This is Sunday, 106 afternoon. And I waited until afternoon because most people were leaving on Sunday. It's still April. It's like the first weekend in April, guys. 109. There's 109. Here's 108. That one's nice and roomy. Not too much standing water. That one's, they're pretty, they're closed. That's a tight spot right there for their RV. They are right up against the tree. And then that's 110. This is 111. And that is 112.